Students, I am Damini and I am speaking on behalf of personal tutors on agricultural in India today. This will be your first part of your ICSE board exams, agricultural chapter that we'll be dealing with today. Now, when you think about agricultural in India, we first understand what exactly we mean when we say agriculture. You are familiar that the word agriculture means practice of tilling and cultivation of on soil. That means by tilling and cultivation, we are raising crops. We are also rearing animals over there, as well as we are practicing the agriculture. Okay, so we are saying that it's a method of growing crops by tilling the land and by cultivation on soil. The word agriculture has been taken out from the Latin two Latin words, agar meaning land and cultivation means culture. Culture means cultivation. So it has been taken from the two different words meaning cultivating of the land. Now, why is really agriculture very important to understand? Why do we really need to study about agriculture, or why as students you really need to know why are we dealing with agriculture as an important topic? When we deal with it, you have to first and foremost understand that 2/3 of the Indian population is dependent on agriculture. It may be directly or it may be indirectly. When I say directly, I mean to say that people are working on the agriculture on field. They are employed into agriculture for the production of the crops. The crops can be of any kind. They may be food crops where we have wheat, rice and pulses. It may be certain cash crops, sugarcane, tea, coffee. But then we are saying 2/3 of population is dependent on agriculture directly. That means they are cultivating the crops. And then other than this, there are also people who are involved in agriculture indirectly. So this 2/3 includes directly involved as well as indirectly involved. When we say indirectly, the farmers require various things. It may be that fertilizers, they may require fertilizers for giving more manure to the crop. They may require pesticides. They may require harvesters to cut the crop. They may require tractors to till the land. So manufacturing of these is indirectly making them dependent on agriculture. If a farmer does not utilize fertilizers, then that particular industry will not exist. So we are saying that people are indirectly also employed because of this development of agriculture. Agriculture may also be providing the raw material to certain industries like cotton textile. Now, if cotton is not produced, then those number of people are unemployed. So we are saying people are directly and indirectly employed in the agriculture. 2/3 of the population is directly or indirectly employed in agriculture. India is a prominent country, a country which is known for agriculture from the point of view of agriculture. It's a known country from the point of view of agriculture. It's a prominent country from the point of view of agriculture. Now, why has it become a prominent country? Because we have varied topography. There are certain regions which are plain area, the Indo-Gangetic region, which is a plain area where agriculture can be practiced very easily. Then there are certain regions, this whole plain area, Indo-Gangetic region is a plain area. Then certain other regions where terrace farming can be done, in the lower hills here, terrace farming can be done. So it's a country of varied topography. Along with that, the climate varies as we go from south to north. So there is a variation in climate. Over here we can grow tropical crops. But above this, the temperatures are lower during the winter season where we grow temperate crops. Temperate crops are the ones which require less amount of temperature. That means crops like wheat, which do not require high temperature, can be grown in the northern part. So because of this varied temperature, varied climatic conditions, and the sunshine is available almost throughout the country. Good amount of sunshine is available. So because of these reasons, India has become a prominent country, a known country for agricultural point of view. And when we say it's a prominent country, we need to know what is the importance, what role does it play in the economy of the country. So when we try to understand that, you need to know first and foremost that agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. That means a large part of our national revenue, the national income that is being generated by the country, is by agriculture. So it forms the backbone of the Indian economy. It is one thing which is giving a large part of Indians their income, and the government is earning through the agricultural a large part of its revenue. Secondly, other than this, it not only provides us with food and fodder for the animal, as well as food for a lively living, but along with that it also provides, we have said, raw materials for the industries. When we say raw materials, we said cotton textile. So cotton textile, when we are saying, the cotton is being brought from the agricultural base. Cotton is obtained through agriculture. So it's the number of people who survive on this, who cultivate as well as who are involved in the manufacturing, is large. So we are saying it provides raw material for many of the industries. Such industries are called as agro-based industries, which have their raw material from agriculture. And then it consumes many of the industrial products. The agricultural consumes many of the industrial products. That means that the farmer needs the tractor, the farmer needs a harvester. So there has to be somewhere where it is being manufactured, and that is how these people are provided employment through agriculture, providing employment to millions of people. This may be those who are directly involved in production of crops. This may involve people who are in the agro-based industries for production of various other agro-based products. This may involve whatever agriculture consumes, like fertilizers. It may involve pesticides, it may involve tractors and harvesters. So it provides employment to millions of people. Along with that, a large part of foreign exchange is earned by the export of tea, coffee, jute and cotton. So you need to remember the importance of agriculture. When we look at the characteristics and the salient features of agriculture, we need to know that first thing is that only 1/3 of the total land area has the facility of irrigation. That means giving artificial water supply to the agricultural land. Though a large part of agricultural land is cultivated, farmers do not have this facility of irrigation. So that means that they are dependent on monsoon. This monsoon is seasonal. The rainfall is for 4 months. That is from June to September. So the farmer is dependent on the monsoon, which is seasonal, which is uncertain. It's not necessary that it will start on the 1st of June from the state of Kerala. It is predicted, or we say that we estimate that the monsoon should begin from 1st June from the state of Kerala and then enter inside at a little later dates. So it's not certain that it will begin on that time itself. So it's uncertain, it is irregular. The amount of rainfall is not fixed. One year the rainfall may be heavy, the another year the rainfall may not be very heavy. So it's irregular and uneven. There are regions here where the rainfall is very high, but then there are regions in the interior where the rainfall is not very high. So there is an uneven distribution of rainfall. That means that one of the characteristics is that our agriculture is dependent on monsoon. Next thing is there are variety of crops. We say that the country has a large size varying from 8 degrees right up to 32 degrees here. So because of this large latitudinal extent as well as longitudinal extent, there are variety of crops that are being sown. The climate varies. In red soil, there can be millets can be grown. In the black soil region is popular for wheat and rice. Indo-Gangetic region, where the climatic is very favorable, wheat can be easily grown. So there are variety of crops that can be grown in different parts of the country. Or maybe say the region over here is popular for sugarcane, or even Madhya Pradesh may be popular for sugarcane. This sugarcane that has been grown may also be of different varieties. The one which is grown here is of thinner variety. The one which is grown in southern India is of thicker variety. So the variety within the crops also varies. There is variety of crops because of the large size, because of variation in climate and soil. The millet grown in Rajasthan may be jowar, while the millet grown in the red soil in Karnataka is ragi. So the type of millet varies from the sandy soil to the red soil. There is variety of crops, and the crops are both temperate and tropical. You are familiar that the Tropic of Cancer passes through the center of the country. So above this it is the temperate crops, and below this it is the tropical crops. Both types. Temperate means which require less temperature. We have said wheat is an example of temperate crop. Tropical, a very good example is rice, which requires relatively high temperature. And the next characteristic is that there is preponderance of cropped area. Okay, preponderance of food crops is another characteristic over here. Preponderance of food crops, which means that 2/3 of the cropped area has either wheat, rice, millets or pulses. The farmer is not one who can take in losses. So because of that, they mainly grow food crops. There are chances of growing crops which may not survive are less, because the farmer cannot take the risk of bearing a crop loss. So that is why there is preponderance of food crops. When we are saying preponderance, that means in most of the lands it is the food crops which are grown. That is either the wheat, millets, pulses, or it may be rice. This type of crops are grown. That is 2/3 of the cropped area has food crops. The reasons for it is the problems of agriculture. It may be excessive pressure on land, it may be poor quality of seeds, it may be small and fragmented land holding. These are some of the reasons why mainly food crops are grown. Crops like tea, coffee, they require large estate, large land where they can be grown. These are called as cash crops. So mainly food crops are grown. And then the next one is seasonal pattern. That means we have actually 2 growing seasons, but in between these 2 growing seasons, there is also a season where short duration crops like vegetables can be grown or certain fruits can be grown. So we have mainly 2 seasons, but we are including the short season also, and we are saying 3 seasons. Kharif season and Rabi season, this is the winter crop. That means sown in winter and harvested in summers. But the Kharif crop is sown during the monsoon season and harvested during the winter season. So these require larger duration to be on the field. They are on the field, the crops are on the field for a larger duration. The zayyat crops are for a shorter duration. These crops are grown. Other than this, you have to remember that there have been methods to improve or to make the country self-sufficient in food grain production, and this has been done by Green Revolution, which started around late 60s, which helped in bringing about self-sufficiency in food production, or a rapid increase in production of food grains. It brought about a revolution in agriculture in our country. We have a scientist by the name Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who was responsible for bringing about a great success into this green revolution. And this revolution was practiced under intensive agriculture development program. Intensive means we are cultivating the crop on the field with a intensively, like that means that the crop is grown at a regular interval, but not the distance between the two crops may not be very, very large, because we need the country to be self-sufficient. Now, what were the features of this Green Revolution or IADP? When we say features of IADP, we mean to say they brought in certain technologies during this time, especially in the parts of Haryana and Punjab, where they brought these technologies to improve the food production. Now, what kind of technologies were brought in? They brought in use of high yielding varieties of seeds. We are saying the seeds are such that they will give a good amount of yield, good amount of production. The chances of a seed not failing into come out as a crop are less. The chances that a seed will not grow up as a plant are less in HYV seeds. So, use of HYV seeds, then providing irrigation to the maximum number of farmers, developing irrigation in these areas, especially it was brought up in over here where they brought in irrigation through dams, so that water can be given to the fields, to the farmers whenever the crops are grown, and the crops do not fail because of lack of rainfall. So we are saying use of HYV feeds, irrigation was the next step that was taken. Then, to reduce the failure of the crop, insecticides were used. If there is any kind of infection on the crops, then insecticides are used so that the crops can sustain, and pesticides are being used. So pesticides, and then along with that they used chemical fertilizers. We say pesticides and chemical fertilizers so that the production is better. The crop gets sufficient manure, sufficient minerals that it requires so that it can grow well. An important step along with this was the land reforms. Now, what exactly is land reforms? It basically involves bringing about a small piece of land into making it into a larger piece of land. Now, why this consolidation of land holding is required? We are saying consolidation of fragmented land holding. That means that if this is a village and a particular farmer A is doing agriculture here, he has one patch of land here and another patch of land here. So it's not a one piece of land, it's just small pieces of land. That is why we are saying fragmented land holding. This is one fragment of his land, this is another fragment of his land. So what they did was they tried to combine these two through land reforms. Why this situation has come for this farmer? Because this was the land which was originally held by his parents, by his father. And then as per the Indian tradition, this will be divided into two if there are two brothers. So this farmer gets this and this farmer gets this. I mean, two pieces of land. But then somehow this goes on for a number of years, and then ultimately one farmer gets a small piece of land and another farmer gets a small piece of land. So in order to bring about a change, they brought the entire piece of land for one farmer under one particular area. So we are calling it as land reforms, consolidation of the land holding. This has happened because hereditary it has come to him in this manner, in parts and parts. And in this small piece of land, the farmer will not be willing to utilize any kind of machines. They will not use any kind of machines. They will not use fertilizers, because this small piece of land cannot support his large family. So that is how we needed to consolidate the fragmented land holdings, and that is what land reforms brought about. Other than this, they tried to improve rural infrastructure. When we say rural infrastructure, it was mainly providing them with water supply, providing them with certain other facilities like maybe schools where they can learn to read and write and understand literacy, improving the literacy. Then there may be providing electrification of most of the villages, so that the farmers have access to, if they are given irrigation facility, they can utilize pumps to draw water. Improving the infrastructure so that the farmer is a little in a better position to understand the modern techniques and then to utilize them. So we are saying improving rural infrastructure. Bringing about changes so that the condition in the village, in development of the roads, it may be a development of a region where the food grains can be kept. So there were certain of the infrastructure facilities provided so that the farmer doesn't incur a lot of loss. He has the facility to go out, and even during the rainy season he can go on a good road and bring the seeds. So these were some of the methods by which they brought about changes to bring about better facilities to the farmers. Improved mechanization and farm technology. Now when we are saying farm technology, we are trying to say they are trying to explain them about the use of the tractors or machines, or telling them the use of harvesters which can make their work faster, giving them chemical fertilizers, giving them pesticides, improvement in the machines as well as technology, so that the farmer doesn't waste a lot of time in only in harvesting. We can also prepare the land for further use. Telling them through radios, telling them how to do agriculture, what are the various methods through which they can save their crops. Then opening of the banks, providing financial and other assistance, means opening of the banks so that they do not depend on the zamindars for taking the loan, which is at a very high interest rate, but rather taking it from the banks, which will give them at a lower interest rate. So providing them financial and other assistance. And then they opened up simultaneously along with this agricultural universities where we can do research about a particular type of plant, what are really HYV seeds, how can we make our indigenous seeds, that is the seeds which we already have, into HYV seeds, how can we improve upon their quality, what kind of fertilizers to be used, what kind, during which duration it has to be sown, for how much duration it should be on the field. So agricultural universities where research can be done on how farming can be improved. for further, even saving the varieties which are indigenous to India. So these were some of the steps which were taken for bringing about changes in the agriculture, for bringing about self-sufficiency in agriculture. What really are the problems faced by Indian agriculture? If you see, then we try to understand that small and fragmented land holding. Now we said it was by inheritance that the land holding became smaller. So when these are small land holdings, it is difficult for irrigation. The farmer will not utilize a machine to irrigate, but rather will be giving irrigation by hand. And then they may be drawing boundaries, and in drawing these boundaries, the fertile land may be occupied. These are generally small land holdings, generally do not support larger families. So the farmer doesn't really find it very interesting to adopt any of the new methods like utilizing chemical fertilizers or HYV seeds. It is like the economic condition of the farmer is already very poor, and he remains in that condition because he has a small and fragmented land holding, because he cannot improve upon this. So they do not use good quality seeds which give good production, as a result of which the amount of food grain that has been obtained may not be very large. The food grain may not be of good quality, so they cannot sell it at a good price. So they are unable to come out of this vicious circle of poverty, and therefore are not able to improve upon the agriculture. They basically do agriculture only for surviving. We call it as subsistence agriculture. So they do that agriculture mainly for survival. Then this is also happening because the amount of agricultural land is going on decreasing. There is excessive pressure of population on land. Large part of land has been taken away for development of schools, or it may be taken, agricultural land taken away for construction of houses by the urban people, by the urban dwellers. So because of this overcrowding, the per capita, the amount of land remaining per person remains very less, and that is how the farmer is forced to do the subsistence farming. And there are certain other reasons why this farmer cannot grow a good amount of crop is like we have unreliable rainfall. The rainfall is, they are dependent, they do not have the facility of irrigation, and they are dependent upon the monsoon, and this monsoon will vary in amount as well as duration from year to year. So because if the rain is good, they get a good crop. If the rain is not good, the crop may not be good, or if the rain is at the wrong time, their crop may be spoiled. So they are dependent upon the unreliable rainfall. Because of these reasons, there is poor productivity. Poor productivity mainly because of the ignorance of the farmer. The farmer is not educated. He doesn't know about HYV seeds. He doesn't know about the facilities given by the government. They are not aware that the government gives them subsidies on buying manures and fertilizers, that there is certain, government gives them certain concession on buying the fertilizers. They don't charge them the entire cost, but only the cost at which the fertilizer was produced. So they may not be using fertilizers because of that. They may not be buying good quality seeds. They may not be aware of the banking facilities, and because of these reasons, they may not be able to improve the production, and that is how the agriculture does not improve. These are some of the problems of Indian agriculture. Largely we have dealt with, if you look at today, what is agriculture, what is the importance, and what are the chief features of agriculture, green revolution, and some of the problems of agriculture. With this, we conclude our first part. The next part we'll be discussing about the different types of farming. It may be shifting agriculture, plantation agriculture, extensive agriculture, and intensive agriculture. So we'll be discussing about different types of farming. Mainly what they ask you is what state any two salient features or state any two characteristics of Indian agriculture, or they ask you state any two reasons for the importance of agriculture in India. They may even ask you any two problems faced, or how do small and fragmented land holding affect the agriculture in our country. Okay. So with this we conclude the first part.